Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. I am going to be reading to y'all again today. I'm going to be reading the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This is a nice little book. It's sort of, I don't know, really nice. I got it at Target when I got all the other stuff that's back there. By Dr. Seuss, of course. Why don't you let me know right down there in the comments, what is your favorite Dr. Seuss story? I think I like Green Eggs and Ham. I think I read the one about the butter on the bread and then the two different groups of people that we're fighting about which one's better or whatever. I don't know. I don't think I've read this one. But leave down there in the comments which one's your favorite Dr. Seuss book. And this one's kind of a long one, so let's get started. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Look at the Grinch just chilling, hanging out with his red eyes, which is really weird. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour Grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, noise, 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 noise. I mean same, but look, they're having like so much fun. But that is a lot of noise. I feel that. I think I feel that. But look at them. Look at them. Do we ever figure out like what are the Whos? Like in the Jim Carrey movie, their whole like society lived on a snowflake and they were like the size of like super tiny. I don't know. Did we ever figure that out? Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast and they'd feast and they'd feast and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I love like the illustrations. Look at all those. They look so classic Dr. Seuss. And whenever you see them again, it just like puts you in a good mood. I don't know. I love these illustrations. They're so awesome. Oh, this is where they sing. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? So one, we learn, which I didn't know, the Grinch is 53 years old? Is that a thing? Is that canon? I guess that's canon because it's right here, but interesting. Ooh, look at his smirk. Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinch trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air, and the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1. Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, emptying bags in his fist. Oh, look at poor Max. Max is so tired. Oh no. But then the Grinch looks like super insane. I don't know. Those red eyes are freaking me out. Were his eyes always red? Shout out to JP Who. That's a nice place. I love the uses of the red. Look at all the red. That's so nice. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Chimbly. It says chimbly. I don't know. I guess to make it rhyme, but why not? Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's Feast. He took the Who Pudding. He took the Roast Beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who Hash. Who Hash, Roast Beast, don't know what any of those are or what they taste like. I'm very curious. More about the Who Roast Beast. What kind of animals are in this? There's a lot of questions about this whole Who universe. Not this Whoniverse, but the whole Who universe. Let's keep going. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Look at her, she's so little. But, you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. Poor Max, look at that. Super sad. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two, then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch. Then I simply must hear, so he paused. And the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising up over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. Even Max is checking it out, his paw. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that's it. That was the story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That was a really good story, and it was a lot of fun. The illustrations are fantastic on Dr. Seuss books, and again, you can get this one at Target. It's like a reflector sort of front, and it looks really nice. You saw all the illustrations. They do look really nice, and they're red, and it's beautiful, and it's not that much. So if you want this, it's like a collector's item or whatever. I'm gonna keep it here, back here on the shelf. But yeah, that was the first time I read this all the way through, and it was pretty cool. I want to keep rhyming. Like I'm talking right now, but I feel like I need a rhyme, and I'm in my head stopping myself from rhyming. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that story. Hope you're enjoying Vlogmas. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please leave a like on this video if you like it. If you want me to read other stories, or if you have anything you want me to do, because there's only a couple more days left in Vlogmas, leave me a comment right down there and let's chat, let's talk. And again, leave your favorite Dr. Seuss story in the comments. I love to talk about Dr. Seuss. I've been Jules the Human, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.